Hello, everybody. My name is Tracy Callahan. Welcome to the Pain, Purpose, and Plan virtual conference. Today we have Dr. Reverend Louise Diana here today with us. She has been transforming lives through yoga, meditation, hypnosis, lifestyle coaching, and she has a business. Her company is Inner Fitness, Inc. And why don't you share with us today a little bit about how long you've been doing this?
Well, I've been doing it a really long time. First of all, thank you for having me, and it's Reverend Doctor.
Oh, sorry.
You got to get the order right.
Got to get the order right.
I've been doing this a really long time. I've been doing this this past January. I will have been on the mat and teaching yoga and meditation for 41 years.
Wow.
So this work, what I've been saying of recent in the past year, of course, is finally the world has caught up with me. Because when I was talking about all of these principles decades ago, people were very kind, very patient, and would just stare at me for very long periods of time, not knowing what I was quite talking about. And it's very refreshing now that consciousness, just consciousness itself, has been brought to the forefront. And I suppose it took a pandemic to do it. But I've personally have been doing this for a very, very long time and continue to do it. You know, one's journey doesn't end. It just keeps going and morphing to something else. Yeah.
Yes. Boy, that's incredible. So I have to start off with my one question that I've been asking all of my speakers, and that is, if you would take me through one of your greatest pain points in your time and how you overcame that and what you learned from that.
Yeah, well, that's a question that I think we all have to ask ourselves at a certain point in our life. And it's usually when we're challenged, when something comes up. And I have found that it's usually one of four areas in people's lives, just in general. It's either going to happen in your house of relationships, it's going to happen in your area of health, or somebody that you're really close to. It's going to happen in your house of finances. And it's going to happen also, I just think, in just your connection with everything around you. You know, your family, your friends, your work, everything that you do to define yourself. And I think everybody, it's the equalizer for all of us. We all go through something. And for me, I've certainly been challenged in the area of relationships from time to time. It's how we learn how to be with people, is when we get stuck and then when we move through it. But I don't think that would be my defining pain point. I think for me, it was the house of finances. I, like many other people, were part of the 2008, 2009 financial meltdown in the United States. And it was just a devastating blow to me, just in general, to come home and find a statement that was 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. And it took me a while to really comprehend what that loss meant to me, and more important, how I was going to move forward. And I had a real rocky moment there for a minute, with kind of just processing it all, just taking it all in. And I knew exactly the day that I made that transition to shifting into not necessarily solving it because there wasn't anything to solve. It was just a question of starting over again. And I knew that day that it happened. And so I guess it gives me a little bit of a cachet to understand what my process was in that day of reckoning, so to speak, that I was able to just shift into, for lack of any other way of describing it, victimhood
Mhm.
to I'm going to find those parts of myself, that warrior part of myself that is going to overcome this. And I did. I did. You know, I've always considered myself a bit of a renegade and a warrior in a lot of other aspects of my life. Certainly my teaching, my physical being, my ability to move through difficult times. But this was something that was extraordinary for me. So to answer your question, the house of finances literally came down.
So that is probably happening with a lot of people, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
how how did you and how could they, say that they're just in complete angst right now and just in a pit? What advice would you give them? Where would they start?
Well, I'm always going to start with my own experience. And fortunately for me, I've had this relationship with my mat. And yoga and meditation as an art form, because it is an art form, has been something that I've been practicing since I'm a young woman. And I have garnered a tool set of modalities that I was able to pull from for myself. And instead of doing it for other people, I just flipped the switch and directed it towards myself. And it required a particular headset to listen, to really listen to what was important to me and what my values were, and and to know that I was passing through something. So it's that moment where you feel paralyzed and you feel victimized, or why me? All of those questions that we all ask. And again, it's in one of those houses I've just
Mhm.
described. For so many people, it's their health. That's what we saw this past year with COVID. Um, Shifting the mindset, and that's where our meditation practice becomes so important. You know, what do you shift in your own mind to say, I'm going to change this around? I have it within me. And by the way, I believe everybody has it within them. It's just whether or not they can tap into it or not. And if you can't, if this conversation leads to anything, I want people to remember this, and that is if you can't do it yourself, and sometimes the self that is going through an experience can't see the sunlight through the forest, through the trees, please reach out for support. And not necessarily in your own family system, because people who love and adore you, hopefully, or good friends may not be the best people. Now, if you have that all in place and it's all working and you getting good messaging, that's great. Not everybody has that. But then go outside of those circles and find somebody that you can process with. And if it's the right person, they're going to give you the tools or even their presence to help you move through something. And the beauty is, it doesn't have to last as long as most people would hold on to something. So in my particular case, it wasn't an overnight, um, aha. It, it took a little while. And when I say a little while, it took months for me to just really process this loss. And for some people, it may be longer. It just depends on their own resilience. But I gave myself, and I do admittedly have a good support system around me. I gave myself, I don't know if the word luxury is correct, but I gave myself permission to just be in it, to be in the loss. Now, this could be appropriate for somebody who's grieving for another human being who's been in their life. There is no one way, but to give yourself whatever amount of time you need and to start strengthening other parts of yourself to get you through something. But with willingness and patience and an inner listening, a deep inner listening, it's incredibly powerful to get through to the other side and then redefine what it is you want on the other side. So in my case, what I wanted was just to rebuild again because I knew if I did it once, I could do it again.
Yeah,
Right? Right?
absolutely.
I knew I had the mindset, well, I created that at one point. Good on me that I had the ability to do that. And through circumstances, by the way, I can assure you will never happen again because I'm much more alert now than I was before. That's how we learn.
And a
And
lesson learned.
that's lesson is learned. By the way, I just want to say something about the build up to that crisis that happened. I was moving very quickly. I was moving quickly and I was earning it.
Mhm.
You got to earn it to lose it, right?
Right.
And so I was moving very quickly and I probably wasn't paying as much attention as I should have been. And I was relying on other people to manage it for me. And that will never happen again. So as a woman, I decided to take complete control over that and to watch it much more carefully and much more judiciously this time around, and never ever leave it to somebody else to manage my financial affairs. So lesson learned,
Yes,
lesson
lesson
learned.
learned.
Now, it gets a little bit more complex when you lose a loved one, because what I lost was a tangible.
Mhm.
When we lose somebody, that's a very different experience, but it's still loss. And everything is relative to the person experiencing it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You made a very valid point to feel the pain, to experience
Yes,
the pain, learn
yes,
from the pain.
yes,
Unlike a lot of people, myself included, um, ignore it, stuff it, don't want to feel it. And all that does is fester, and you end up, in my case anyway, being a ticking time bomb, so to speak. And, just so you made a very valid point. You need to feel it and experience it.
yeah. It's a client of mine, from way, way back. Oh my goodness, she was also became a dear friend, which happens with many of my clients because they're with me for so long. And I just get to see so many beautiful things that happen as a result of our work and their work in doing the work.
Right. Right.
And this one gal was already successful before she started to work with me. She was an author and a speaker, and she's no longer with us. Her name is Susan Jeffers, and she wrote a wonderful book. And the book is still probably out there. It's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And in our case, for our discussion that we're talking about, feel the pain, feel the pain and do it anyway.
Absolutely.
But it's the same mindset. It's not to deny anything. And a part of our spiritual growth and development is hooked in to how we move through these experiences in our life. To know spirit, to know God, to know that mother, father presence, whatever that is for whatever denomination you follow. I personally believe there's only one, and it's spread for all of us. And that's a whole conversation for another time. But for whatever it is you plug into, is those are the moments you strengthen that connection. And if for some people, it's just watching a sunrise or a sunset, it's those moments that say, if the sun can rise every day and the sun can set every day, it gives me hope that whatever loss I'm going through, I have the personal power to move through. And without hope, Tracy, we have nothing. I mean, there is nothing without hope. So if it's something that you are experiencing right now in this world, and so many people are, remember, every day is a chance to just stop whatever you're doing throughout your day and just plug in and ask for that support to continue to show up. And you don't know how it's going to show up sometimes. Don't be attached to how it's going to show up, how you're going to be able to get an additional tool to move through something. Just know it's coming. It's coming. And it provides for us that word that all of us can work on, no matter how enlightened you are. And that is patience. And you can't have patience with the universe if you don't have patience with yourself, first and foremost. So part of my pain that I experienced was giving myself the patience to be in the pain I was experiencing. And just to be in it and see what that feels like. And to trust the process. Just trust it. Trust that listening.
I love that. That's great. What do you feel are some of the most common reasons that people just give up?
Oh, that's a great question. Why do people give up? Yeah, that's the $64 million question. Well, I think a lot of it is lack of developing good support systems around you.
Yeah.
And by the way, having a good support system are not people who are yesing you. I don't want to imply that. People who, number one, love you unconditionally, that's a given. Unconditionally. Two, people who hold the space for you to go through whatever it is you're going through without trying to fix or heal you, because that's an inside job. Nobody really can do that. But what we can do is hold the space for somebody to do the work themselves. Does that make sense?
Yes. So perfect.
Yes. So I would say if you haven't cultivated that yet in your life, it's possible to do that. It's never too late to do that. And you may have to start redirecting your energy to those people that you want to attract to you in your life who are capable of doing that.
So how would somebody start to develop a support system?
Yeah, well, we do have the internet. This is the beautiful thing about the internet. With all the craziness of the internet, we can we can find each other on the internet. Personally, I'm a little old school. Um, I love people. I just love people. And one of the things that I've missed because of this COVID is the interaction of being with people, the actual interaction of
Right.
looking in each other's eyes in real time and being with one another. But it depends on where you live. It depends on your accessibility. There's a combination of alone time and interaction time that it has to be in balance. And
Definitely.
you start with where you start, start with your own self-interests. I have found over the years that a lot of my clients have found each other because of the similarity of enjoying yoga together or meditating together. And when you think about it, when you're meditating with people, all you're doing is sitting in silence with one another, and yet you feel so connected because you're sharing something you both love, and that binds you because you have that in commonality. By the way, you don't have to have a crisis to go out and seek new people in your life. I think at different stages of your life, you enjoy the older friends that you have, the long-term friends, because those are precious and you never want to lose those long-term friends. I have friends for 35, 40 years that are irreplaceable, but I love to keep myself open to new people because then we come in where we are right now, and we don't have our history, but we have this present moment together that we're sharing, and then your history just kind of unfolds over the course of you making a new friend. And I think we need to do that over the course of our lifetime so that we personally can grow and expand. When I have an event in real time, um, in real life, which I'm hoping will happen again within the next 6 months to a year, what I've always enjoyed is the age disparity in my crowd. I like having gals around me who are a little older, like myself, because we can all be relating to each other. But I draw a lot of younger women into my orbit, and I love having the young girls in their 20s and their 30s around. It's just great because we all interact and we all feed off of something that we're all learning and growing from. And it's wonderful to have that variety, don't you think?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it
Yeah.
keeps it nice and fresh and gives you also an opportunity to rethink things that you may have already made your mind up on something.
Right.
And it makes you
Right.
go, oh, I never thought about it from that point of view. And let me save you, young gal, a whole lot of time before you start dipping into those waters, because I've been there, seen it, and done it, and I could
Most
save you
definitely.
a lot of years. So it's a great reciprocal kind of energetic. By the way, I run these fabulous women's groups, and that's where a lot of friendships are cultivated, in my women's groups, in my world right now, at least.
That's wonderful. So how can everybody get a hold of you? Your
How
web.
can people get a hold of
How
me?
can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, well, you can go to my website, innerfitness.com. It's real easy. It needs to be updated, but I don't quite have website shame because you can see all my great experience. But I'd like to also just throw this out to whoever may be viewing me. circle back and I'm assuming, Tracy, you'll have a list of all of our emails. If anybody is in a place of, real transition and discomfort or pain, and it could be any of those houses I talked about, finances or health or relationships or just, a spiritual disconnect, I'd be happy, I'd be delighted to give you a free consultation.
Fabulous, yes. And is there anything on your heart that we didn't discuss that you would like to share with our viewers?
Oh, just trust the process. Trust the process. Sometimes things can't be explained. There's no words. And if you can just trust the process itself, and by that I mean that deep inner listening, I hope everybody who is viewing this has taken some serious time this past year to really define what your next steps are going to be in life. What are they going to be? Do you want to do a complete reinvention on yourself? Do you need a change of location? Do you want something? Fill in the blank. And then life is short. Make sure you go out and you get it.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, I thank you so much for your encouraging words, your amazing knowledge that you've given and shared with us today. And just can't thank you enough for your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Tracy. I'm so glad you had me.
Thank you so much.